Okay, so the Youth Opportunity Pass is a pilot program that has been giving all youth 18 and under free public transit in all of the San Diego region. And it is something that the Improving Transportation in City Heights team at Mid-City CAN has been advocating for since 2011. It did take a little bit over a decade for the program to become a reality. So this is something that is very valuable to City Heights residents, mostly because City Heights is a very transit dependent community. So what you see here is timeline of what has happened in the last 2 years. As you may see, on September 2021, SANDAG Social Equity Working Group forwarded this recommendation to the Transportation Committee as well as the Board of Directors. And it wasn't until May 2022 that the program was implemented. So ever since then, Mid-City CAN, as one of SANDAG's community-based organization, has been doing outreach to spread the word and has also been doing some card distributions to make sure that youth are able to use this program. And the program was supposed to last for 1 year, so the initial deadline was June 2023, but in May, there was an extension. And then again, in October 2023, the program was extended until June 30 of 2026. So youth still have like 2.5 more years to use this program and benefit from it. During the first year that the program was implemented, SANDAG surveyed youth transit riders who were part of the Youth Opportunity Pass. And from these surveys, they did put together a study that was released, and it was presented to the Transportation Committee, SANDAG's Transportation Committee on December 2023. And obviously that is what we are all here for, to see what this study is about. So now I will go ahead and pass it on to SANDAG's regional planner, Zaccary Bradt. Just 1 second. Where is it? Okay, there you are. Couldn't see. All right. Okay. Without further say, I will pass it on to Zaccary Bradt. Zach, thank you so much for being here.
Mentioned, it seems like so long ago now. My name is Zaccary Bradt. I am a regional planner at SANDAG, the regional transportation planning agency for all of San Diego County. And we handle a lot of different transportation issues. And one of those that we've been focused on a lot recently is transit equity in the form of our Youth Opportunity Pass program. So the Youth Opportunity Pass is a program that we launched in 2022 to support SANDAG's commitment to social equity outlined in the 2021 regional plan, which is a 4-year plan, a 40-year plan that SANDAG updates every 4 years. We really wanted to focus on equity, working with our community partners and advancing the goals that we all share to make the region more equitable and more accessible for everyone. So our partners on this program have included schools, school districts, community-based organizations, of course, like Mid-City CAN and City Heights CDC, as well as other social equity stakeholders from around the region. Funding for the program was provided by SANDAG with support from the County of San Diego, and all of that money has gone to allow MTS and NCTD, our transit operators, to continue all of their transit operations while still providing these rides for young people throughout the region. We were able to launch the program really quickly in May of 2022. And as Guadalupe mentioned, we're now funded through June of 2026. So we're really excited to have that funding secured for the next few years. It gives us time to work out our next steps and how we want to approach making sure that we can keep providing this service for the youth in our region indefinitely. Through our outreach, we've distributed over 55,000 free youth Pronto cards to youth throughout all of the county. This is between SANDAG, dozens of our community partners, dozens more schools and school districts who have helped us as well as directly through MTS and NCTD, who have been providing cards at transit centers and at their major customer service centers. Through all of this, there's now over 150,000 total Youth Pronto accounts active, meaning that at some point throughout the past 2 years or so, there's over 150,000 youth who have decided to ride transit at least once and at least try it out. And really the results so far have spoken for themselves. So as we see here, that first bar with a little lighter shade of green was the ridership that we were seeing among youth in the spring before the program launched in 2022. We were hovering a little over 16,000 individual youth riders who would ride at least once a month. So we were getting a normal basis of around 16,000 people riding on any transit throughout the county. Nowadays, we're seeing that number approach or sometimes exceed 50,000 youth. So about 3 times as many youth are taking advantage of our transit system. And when we look at all of the rides that those young people are taking throughout the county on all of the different bus and train and trolley routes, we've seen now months where there are over 900,000 transit rides taken by youth in a month, whereas before the program launched, we were in the 300,000 or so range. So more than double the number of transit rides who have taken, nearly triple our total ridership base for youth. So we're really enabling youth to take transit a lot more, and we're fostering this culture of making transit a viable and really a good option for youth that maybe they hadn't considered it before. Now, when we drill a little bit deeper into the numbers, we can see a lot of the specific increases and impacts that we're having in our communities all throughout the region. But today I want to focus specifically on some of the routes and communities that are in City Heights and Mid-City to see what kind of routes and what impact that the program has been having for youth in Mid-City. And so, of course, we have significantly boosted ridership on our major routes like Route 7, Route 10, Route 13, Route 215, and Route 235, which serve a lot of the youth in Mid-City, connecting to their schools, to job opportunities and internships downtown or in other parts of the region, and also enable them to go visit friends and family. Route 7 and Route 13 now have over 1,300 riders youth riders on an average weekday. So that's every day of the week, over 1,300 people getting to school, getting to sports practice, whatever it might be that they have to go to. That's been enabled now because of the Youth Opportunity Pass. And of course, the impacts have been seen throughout all of the region with huge increases on our trolley lines, on the major coaster rail line in North County. But these are just some highlights specific to the City Heights and Mid-City area. Something else that we looked at in partnership with the San Diego Unified School District was how this program might be impacting attendance recovery at schools. As we all know, a lot of schools suffered major drops in attendance due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And those drops were even more precipitous at a lot of schools in our lower income communities, communities of color, and those who have been historically disadvantaged. When we looked at the attendance numbers at all of the schools throughout the San Diego Unified School District, we saw that attendance was recovering and coming back at a 27% higher rate at schools that were close to transit when we compared it to schools that are not accessible by transit. So this is schools like Horace Mann and schools like other schools that are really close to transit, accessible by our rapid transit lines like the 215 on El Cajon Boulevard, are seeing really strong attendance recovery and are coming back out of the pandemic stronger and with better attendance and better results for our students. We see this as a way to potentially narrow the achievement gap that has historically existed, where a lot of schools in wealthier areas have been able to be more successful in the past. We want to narrow that gap and make all of our schools successful. And this might just be a way for us to work towards that goal. Something that we did about a year ago, we started, was really we wanted to measure the impacts of the program on everyday people and on the families and youth who were using it. And so we conducted a survey and a series of focus groups with the youth who have benefited from the program to ask them how they've felt about the program, what it's done for them and their family, and what kind of impacts it's had. And the results that we got from this study were incredible. Youth who responded said that 92% of them ride public transit more now than they did before the program because of the access that is provided to them. Nearly 4 in 5 students said that they plan to keep riding transit when they're adults, which is something that we'd love to see, building this culture of transit and really making sure that young people see it as a viable option for them going into the future. We found a lot of specific themes identified in the responses that we got from youth on some open answer questions on the survey and in the focus groups that we had with them. And I'm going to highlight 5 major themes for you today. The first and the biggest one was that it saves money. A lot of youth mentioned how it was difficult for their families to make ends meet. And this ability to be able to get around without having to pay for transit every time or to buy a monthly pass in advance has really helped their family save money, balance their budget, and focus on other things. The second thing that we saw was that youth were saying that it reduces stress and worry in their family. It helps them get to school easier. It means they don't have to worry about having a ride home. And it really helps them have an opportunity to be with family, help take care of things that need to happen without stressing about transportation. The third theme, kind of balancing off of that, is that it helps students and families balance their family responsibilities. We heard from a lot of kids that they help to take care of older family members, or they're responsible for getting their younger siblings around. And a lot of them said that the Youth Opportunity Pass has made that a lot easier for them. We heard from a lot of the cutest kids that you'll ever see talking about how this pass has helped them take their younger brother to school, or go with their sister to help with whatever errands their family needs to run. The fourth theme that we heard from the youth was that it helps them get more places and just do more activities. This could be after-school activities. It could be sports that they want to participate in. It could even just be going to the beach or to the mall with their friends on the weekend, and helping our young people just have a chance to explore the region, live their life as a young person in a fun way. And the fifth one, bouncing off of that again, is that it's really allowed independence for our youth. They remarked on the ability to get around without needing to ask their parents for a ride or coordinate a carpool with their friends. And so they've been able to, get out, explore the region, find job opportunities, find internships, get ahead without having to rely on their parents for transportation. A little bit more on the survey and focus groups. Like I said, we had a lot of specific comments from the people, over 1,200 survey responses, and 3 separate focus group sessions. So folks just saying that it helps them financially and they feel safe riding on transit, especially when a lot of times their only other option is to walk or to ride a bike, maybe at dark, in the dark at nighttime, or on some roads that aren't really built for that kind of transportation. So the youth pass has really helped them get around safely. Like I mentioned, relying less on their parents and being more environmentally friendly, and being able to be more involved in the community, and of course just helping get around in general. The last thing that we looked at in our study was the potential impacts on the environment and our greenhouse gas emissions. One of the things that SANDAG is responsible for is planning to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in San Diego County, and we see this as a strategy that could help us get there. When we evaluated this based on all of the different methodologies that we use in our regional plan and other projects, we've estimated that annually the Youth Opportunity Pass is reducing regional VMT by 7 million miles. And that's every year. So we've been going on for almost 2 years now. So we're probably approaching 13 or 14 million VMT reduced by now. And this is huge. It's huge for our environmental statistics, and for getting our regional planning documents in line. But also on a personal level, that amounts to nearly 250,000 gallons of gas every year that's saved for local families. That's money back in the pockets of families here in San Diego. And we can estimate that it's reduced CO2 emissions by nearly 4.7 million pounds. So Again, great for the environment, great for public health and air quality, especially in these communities that have historically been very impacted by things like the SR15 and the air pollution from that. So reducing pollution, improving air quality, and all of that is another huge portion of this program that we're really excited about. And now I know Guadalupe mentioned next steps. Just for us, the next steps, and we can discuss this more, but here at SANDAG, what we're doing now, as we mentioned, we've been able to budget existing funding to continue the Youth Opportunity Pass for another 2 years through June of 2026. Currently, some of my colleagues here at SANDAG are working on a transit fare discount study to identify opportunities for equitable fare policies, while also making sure that we continue to maintain and improve transit service. We don't want some fare policies coming at the expense of providing good quality transit service. And of course, we're continuing our coordination with our federal, state, and local partners to identify permanent funding for the program. This includes, our legislative partners in the federal and state government, all of our local cities, community organizations. As I mentioned earlier, we worked with the county on the initial funding for the program, as well as schools and universities. I know JD and some folks from San Diego State are on the call, and we've had a lot of conversations with San Diego State, UC San Diego, Cal State San Marcos, and San Diego Unified School District about how the program's working and how valuable it would be to continue. So that concludes the presentation portion of my whole presentation. We do have some links here. All of the information that I mentioned is available in our full study report, which is available on our website, as well as a data dashboard for the entire program, also available online. So with that, I'll hand it back to you, Guadalupe, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Check the speaker.
Thank you, Zach. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, Craig Jones had a question in the chat box. He was asking what can be done to market YOP better in North County, NCTD services. Any suggestions for that one, Zach?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Craig. We've been working a lot with our partners at NCTD, like I mentioned, Cal State San Marcos, as well as several of our community organization partners up in North County, who have been distributing passes. I just got off a phone call last week with some folks in Escondido about continuing to market the Youth Opportunity Pass. We'll continue doing that. We're working with our public affairs team and with NCTD's public affairs team to continue the marketing. And I think really the most successful approach that we've had so far was this coordination with our community-based organizations. I know Mid-City Can has had a huge part in expanding the availability of information about the Youth Opportunity Pass online and in person. And so that's been a huge boost to the program, I think, here in City Heights, and that can be replicated throughout the region.
I would agree. Thank you. I know that North County doesn't have currently as much CBO representation as some other areas of the region, but possibly some help can be set up through the Alliance for Regional Solutions to get that going too. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks, Craig.
Okay, Toshi has a question, and then we'll get to yours, Madeline. Go ahead, Toshi.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. So first of all, Zach, thanks for such a good presentation. I'm very happy to know the YOP program has been very successful. And even though it's successful, I was told that, for instance, like some people at MTS, especially higher above, maybe at the top floor people, they are not happy with YOP. So I was wondering why they are not happy. And then also I like to know how MTS and NTCD are compensated for the like a YOP program.
Yeah, thanks, Toshi. I haven't heard of anyone who's unhappy with YOP personally. And I certainly know that everyone here at SANDAG that I've talked to is very supportive of it. And our partners at MTS and NCTD are. I do think that your point about how they're compensated for it, which I can get to in a second, is a major sticking point for the transit operators. And of course, for us as well, we want to make sure that our transit operations are successful and well funded, so that we don't have to, for example, cut service in order to provide other programs like this. That would not be the desired outcome for anything. To specifically address the question about compensation for the transit operators, the way that it's structured currently basically allows SANDAG to reimburse MTS and NCTD for the equivalent of the fare revenue that they had been collecting before the program, so that their budget remains whole and what they would have expected, without breaking the bank here at SANDAG for a bunch of additional ridership that would not have existed without the program. So we think that it's a pretty fair setup, and our partners at MTS and NCTD have been pretty happy with it so far as well. The only issue that we have going forward is making sure that we secure that funding permanently, so that there won't be an interruption in the service.
Okay, thank you.
And then we have a question from Madeline Falco. There are several student assistants from San Diego State University, and Madeline would like to know, we have several student assistants who are very interested in the YOP and would like to know what role can SDSU students take in advocating for YOP?
Yeah, that's a great question, Madeline. Thank you for that. I know JD, like I mentioned, is on the call. And us here at SANDAG have had some conversations with San Diego State about the potential for continued transit access and transit passes for students. It would be beyond the scope of Youth Opportunity Pass, so we'd be looking at expanding the program if that were the case. And of course, like Toshi mentioned, the biggest issue here would be funding. And so it would be difficult to continue to expand eligibility for a program like this without identifying significant additional funding. And so something that we've been looking into is partnerships with schools and universities, which this could be something that SDSU students may be interested in, potentially following a similar model to what UC San Diego has had for the past decade or so, where students pay into a transportation fee as part of their tuition, and all students receive universal free transit passes. And so something like that could be a model that could be replicated or tweaked a little bit, but expanded to other universities throughout the region. And we think that would be a good model that both preserves that revenue that's extremely necessary, while also expanding transit access. And so that could be something that San Diego State students could be involved with. And if you're not already connected to JD, I would recommend that. And also, if you want to have further conversations with us here at SANDAG, I think we would be supportive of that as well.
Thank you.
And then Lillian Soriano, thank you for your question. Liana said, thanks for the presentation, Zach. Why are there troubles getting permanent funding for YOP when it has gotten an extension twice?
Yeah, that's really the biggest question of all of them. Basically, when we started the Youth Opportunity Pass, we were able to fund it temporarily due to some leftover funds that were not being used because of some changes in programming due to COVID-19. And so we had some commuter programs like van pools and employer collaborations that were really not hitting their budgeted amounts just because people were teleworking and there wasn't as much demand for that. And so that left us with some additional funding on a temporary basis that was not being currently allocated. So we were able to reallocate that to this other program, Youth Opportunity Pass, instead. And so we've been able to extend it a couple times with that similar funding. But as we're seeing those services and other things that are using that kind of funding return to full capacity now that the pandemic is waning a little bit, those funding sources are kind of being taken back by their initial, their original owners essentially. And so Youth Opportunity Passes, it needs its own dedicated funding source. So we at SANDAG are looking for that funding. We're coordinating with some of our partners, and I know there's some outside efforts as well to bring in that funding for programs like Youth Opportunity Pass and other transit projects.
How are we on time, Lupe?
We have room for one more question. We do have a question for you, Zach. And that is, with the new year, do you know if there's like a total of the number of trips made by youth? I remember the last time I saw it was like 6 million, but I don't know if there are any updates on that.
Yeah, we haven't calculated that in a while since kind of that 6 million number that you're referencing. All of that data, we have data through the fall, I think, from both of the operators. So it would just be a matter of going into the data and adding up all the numbers together, essentially. So we could find that pretty easily, and if you're interested, I could get that number to you this week. But yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Can we sneak one quick one? JD had a quick question, Zach. Like, is there an estimated cost from SANDAG to increase the age to 24?
Yeah, so this is one of the big issues that we've run up against. I know that initially, for a while, a lot of the advocacy around Youth Opportunity Pass had been through age 24 from Mid-City Can and the other organizations. We tried to calculate that kind of based on the same formula that we did for the current Youth Opportunity Pass. And our rough estimates were that it would cost nearly $40 million per year, which is a significant increase over the approximately $7 million per year that we're currently paying. And so this is one of the trade-offs that I mentioned in the study that some of my colleagues like Brian are doing here at SANDAG right now, as to, if that's an additional $30 million every year, we need to weigh whether or not we would rather have, an expanded eligibility for free fares, or if we think that maybe some of that money would be better used to, run the 215 later at night, or run more buses every 10 or 12 minutes instead of every 15 or 20 minutes. And so that's something that we're weighing, and it's something that's out in the kind of in the public eye right now. But it would be a significant cost increase, and we want to make sure that we are using all of the funding that we have, since it's fairly limited, the funding that we do have. We want to make sure we're using it in the best way to maximize the benefit for everyone.
All right, Zach, thank you so much for answering those questions. Yeah, if you have any questions that may come up later on, feel free to either message Zach, or you can also contact us and we'll figure out a way to answer your questions. So we can go ahead and move on to the next steps, and this is more on the advocacy side of it. So yeah, as noted, this is still a pilot program, which is the reason why CBOs like Mid-City can continue to advocate for YOP. And if that is something that, if you would like to be part of that advocacy effort, you can start by joining our monthly itch meetings. They happen second Monday of every month here at our Mid-City CAN office. And YOP is one of our priorities for this year. Our upcoming meeting is on February 12th, and this meeting will be from 5 to 7 p.m. They're usually 5:30 to 7 p.m., but this time we'll have to extend it a little bit longer because we will be getting a visit from the MTS chair, Stephen Whitburn, from 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And this will be a great space to let him know what our transportation priorities are for this year. So, for those of you who are interested in 24 and under, this is someone that you could ask. And if you are interested in joining us, there is the RSVP link, which will be dropped on the chat. And if you have any other questions regarding itch or anything related to YOP, feel free to contact me via email or by phone number. And that is it from our end. Thank you all for joining us, for taking some time out of your day to be part of this conversation. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Zach, thank you so much once again for having not just putting the whole study together, but for presenting.
Thank you so much for having us, and sorry again for all the technical difficulties at the beginning, but I'm glad we got it worked out.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. It was excellent.